back in this round, we're talking to the vice presidential candidates. We've got a couple questions for each of them. The first question is, the SG Procedure Handbook says, in your role as vice presidents, you will assist the president in such executive matters as the president sees fit. How have you and your running mate decided to assign the role you will fill as vice president? You will each have 1 minute to answer this question. We'll start with Melina Williams.
Okay. Theo and I, from the very beginning, have decided that we will run this race together equally. We do not see that there should be a huge separation between the two positions because we feel that if one of us is not available to be there at a certain time, that the other should be able to act on behalf. Where Theo will serve as the position of president, I'm fully confident, and he is fully confident in me, in my ability to step up in any process that I'm needed for. So we have shared a lot of the similar ideas together. We've gone out into the student body equally, and we're excited to share the role and support each other in whatever ways needed.
All right, next question, Danny Burrell. Same question, your answer, sorry.
Yes, our answer is very similar in that we think Jay and I will be working together as a team. We've seen in the past administration that Stuart and Martina have done a great job in making both of their faces known all over campus, and we would continue that same legacy. You know, Jay Hudson will be working very closely with both the legislator and those in the Board of Regents, but I will also continue to have my face as a face of LSU, working with the students and however he needs. We have been a great team so far. Everything we have done has been working back and forth between each other, and I think that that's how our administration will continue to be. We think that we need both of our ideas in all of our issues because, again, he has a great student government background, and I have student organization leadership. So between the two of us, we think that we're better able to come up with ideas and better tackle issues. So as my role would be in student government, I would, again, be his assistant, but I would also be his team member and his equal, and we would work together to get both the viewpoint of student government and the average student to solve all of our issues that we undertake.
Chris Sellers.
Right, well, I definitely have to agree with both of, is this on? I definitely have to agree that both of my opponents basically said something that Brooksy and I do believe in as well, that we're strongest as a team, and that we would definitely endeavor on most things as a team. But that is one reason why experience is so important in this race. Brooksy and I both have a lot of experience both inside and outside of student government. And so LSU is unique in that our vice president does have a lot of roles that he or she would serve in individually. For example, the vice president sits on the union board, sits on the Sesquicentennial Committee. But in addition to that, there's a lot of, in fact, almost every university committee has student representation through the student body president, but that person can't be there everywhere at once. Brooksy can't be everywhere at all times. So it's important that you have someone with a lot of experience who can step in for the role of that president on those committees and speak on behalf of student government and be knowledgeable on the issues. And that's something that Brooksy and I are very proud of in the pairing of the two of us.
All right, the next question is, this year students have decided to support a $2,500 salary increase for the SG vice president. Does this change the role of vice president? You'll each get 45 seconds to answer this question, and we'll start this time with Danny Burrell.
When you say change the role, I guess it depends on who you're measuring the vice president role off of. Martina did indeed get this stipend, and she did a great job being here on campus, basically taking this as her full-time job. I wouldn't change anything that she's done, in that I would see this as my full-time job. If I were to be paid for this position, then that is where all of my time, all of my effort should go. I would want to devote all of my time to both being a student and my classwork, but then my obligations as vice president. So again, from changing the roles, I wouldn't change it from this past year. In the previous years, we didn't see our vice presidents as around campus as Martina was. So I would change from the past. But again, the current administration has done a great job in setting an example of a vice president who is both accountable, accessible, and hardworking. And I would continue that with this stipend.
All right, Chris.
Absolutely. I think that this changes the role for the student body vice president. I'm so proud of the students for acknowledging the importance of taking a stance on this and passing this in the fall elections. What this essentially does, and I was someone who kind of helped with the legislation as well, what this will essentially do is allow the student body vice president to spend all of their time here at LSU. The Constitution now binds them to Baton Rouge and to the university during the summer and during the school year. And this is really going to allow them, kind of like Danny said, to really be out there with the students more. This year, unfortunately, our VP for the first semester had to hold down a job just to be able to support herself and serve in the role of student body vice president. That won't be as much of an issue next year because we have secured funding for the student body vice president. So I'm very proud to have supported that as a senator, and I think that it's definitely going to improve the role of student body vice president.
All right, Melina.
I agree that this was a great decision on behalf of the student body to provide a stipend for the vice president, because I've seen Martina's face all over this campus. She has her hands in everything, and I think she's set a great example for all the vice presidents to come. And I think that the stipend that she's received is well worth it. I do not believe that it changes the role of the vice president. I believe that they should be as fully committed with or without the stipend, which is my mindset going into this. But at the same time, I do believe that it changes the accountability that the students do have on the vice president. Since they will be receiving a stipend, they should have their hands in everything, and they should be able to provide their full attention to the role of vice president, just as the president would.
All right, one more question for all of the vice presidential candidates. How do you see your running mates' involvement in the Council of Student Body Presidents, and what importance do you see in the relationship of the Council of Student Body Presidents and LSU? We'll start this time with Melina.
I believe the involvement of the Council of Student Body Presidents is extremely important, because they are representatives of every facet on campus, of every interest represented by the students' majors. And so I'm really excited about the people that we have on our ticket running in these positions, and about the great ideas that they've already brought forth on their push cards with initiatives.
All right, Chris Sellers.
Unfortunately, I think Melina missed the mark a little bit on that. The Council of Student Body Presidents has nothing to do with our college council presidents, the community of all the student body presidents of other universities across the state. And so that's why I'm so proud of Brooksy and I's community outreach initiative. Brooksy and I want to make sure that we reach out specifically to Southern University and the Baton Rouge Community College to work with them to see how our three universities and our three systems are so important to the state of Louisiana, and how we should really need to stress that the legislature secure more funding for them in the future. In addition, we want to reach out to other universities. The third one would be the fourth one would be the UL system. We want to make sure that everyone really is involved in the decision-making process. And so Brooksy and I see that as a vital aspect of our presidential and vice presidential candidacy.
Danny?
Again, the budget cuts are a recurring theme, and I think that also applies to this as well. One of Jay Hudson's saddest moments was when he did testify in the legislature. He was one of 2 students in the entire state of Louisiana that was there. LSU or not LSU, we need to have more representation as a whole state if we're really going to make a difference in this budget cut issue. I think he's done a phenomenal job already reaching out to other organizations. I know that this isn't specific to this, but again, he spent a lot of time listening to ideas from the other SEC student governments. So I think he would use this Council of Presidents to really reach out and to form a better bond with all of our schools. And one of our initiatives actually deals with this particularly, which is increased communication with other Louisiana colleges and universities. Again, we think that is a necessity if we are going to truly combat the budget cuts that we're going to face in the future.
All right. I will now allow each of the candidates to have a 20-second follow-up statement. We'll start again with Melina.
Hi, I'm sorry for misunderstanding that question that you asked me, but I do agree that working together with the other student body presidents is very important. The initiatives that we have on our push card is a collaborative effort between the students and the student government. I think that that's also important to recognize between the different universities, that we work together, especially in a time of budget cuts, to collaborate, bounce ideas off of each other, and produce the best result we can as a university.
All right, back to Chris Sellers.
Sure. Not to harp on the issue, but this is why experience is so important. You know, I knew what the Council of Student Body President was. I know how important it is to our university, and that's something that Brooksy and I, we obviously share that vision for our university and more community outreach. I think it's important that we have people in these positions that fully understand what they're getting themselves into, and so I'm very proud to be running with Brooksy for that reason.
Danny?
Again, I just think that Jay Hudson is going to do a great job. One of the things that has been so great about our campaign is all of our ideas are fresh and unique, and they're not bounded by one mindset or one student government mindset. So really, I think he's going to do a great job of not only reaching out to the other community schools, but also really taking that in, listening to it, and seeing how we can implement any good idea that they have into our system and vice versa.
All right. Thank you, guys. Vice presidential candidates. Next, our live studio audience will join in on the conversation to ask some of the candidates your questions. Plus, we'll ask them questions submitted to us online. Stick around. We'll be right back.